Good day, great people of God. This is Division 2 of Lesson 8 of our CAC Sunday School lessons for this season. Our topic, which was started last week, is some women who enjoy and align with God's grace. In Division 1 last session, we discussed how Rahab helped the Israelite spies in the mission against Jericho and how God graciously included her in the Messiah's lineage. In Division 2 today, we shall discuss about Ruth, Naomi's Gentile in-law. We shall discuss this under the sections A, follows Yahweh through Naomi, and B, flows with the Messianic trend. A, follows Yahweh through Naomi. Ruth's story is found in the book of Ruth. This was during the time of the judges when a terrible famine was in the land. A certain man Elimelech by name migrated in search of greener pastures to the country of Moab. He went with his wife, Naomi, and his two sons, Mahlon and Chilion. There the man died. His sons married Moabite women, Ruth and Orpah, with whom they had no children, and they too died. Naomi eventually heard that the Lord had provided food in the land of Judah, so she decided to return to her homeland. She told each of her daughters-in-law to return to their families since she had no more sons to offer them in marriage. Through much grief, Orpah conceded, but Ruth refused to leave Naomi. This childless widow chooses to accompany her mother-in-law to Judah. Naomi protests the decision, but Ruth perseveres, saying, "Wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." So in spite of the tragedy that had befallen Ruth in the family that she is married into, she is sold out into that Israelite family to continue to serve the God of Israel. The virtue she demonstrates is incredible. God is ordering Ruth's steps, and she aligns with God's plan. So Ruth and Naomi leave for Israel. Ruth, being a Moabite, is an unsuitable candidate for marriage to an Israelite in the first place. And so it looks so odd seeing such a person with Naomi at her return. The Moabites are actually children of Lot's son, Moab, who was born through an incest relationship between a drunken father and his first daughter. The Moabites have had a long history with Israel, and they have been a thorn in the flesh to the Israelites. At a point in time, God had commanded that no Moabite should enter the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th generation. But here is Ruth, who finds grace before the Lord. So Ruth arrives in Bethlehem and begins to work in the fields, picking up what the reapers leave behind in the farms. This kind of work was God's provisions for the poor in Israel, but it was hard, it was humiliating, and it yielded very little. Ruth is led by the Lord into the fields of a godly man named Boaz. She finds grace with him, and Boaz helps and protects her in the fields. He commends Ruth for leaving behind her Moabite family to become a stranger in a strange land. B, flows with the Messianic trend. After their return to Judah, Naomi applies the law of levirate marriage while seeking Ruth's well-being. By the Old Testament law in Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 5 to 6, God provided for levirate marriage to ensure the continuation of the family line. Here, a man gets married to the sonless widow of his dead brother to raise a heir for him. Levirate is from Latin and means husband's brother. Naomi identifies Boaz as a kinsman and gives Ruth instructions that might secure for her a husband and a family. Ruth, being a Moabite, did not have to follow the law of Israel, but she humbled herself and asked Boaz, a much older man, to perform the service of the kinsman redeemer by marrying her according to the Mosaic law, so she could bear a son to carry on her husband's name. Now, this provides a beautiful picture of God's grace in the redemption of mankind through Christ, our kinsman redeemer. God promised to redeem that which was lost in Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. He had to become man so that he could become a near kinsman and purchase mankind back to himself. In this story, Boaz had to humble himself to be a kinsman redeemer for his dead kinsman. Struck by her loyalty and kindness, Boaz agrees to take on the responsibility. He marries Ruth, and she gives birth to Obed, who will become the father of Jesse, the father of David, the king of Israel. That also brings a restoration to Naomi, the old childless widow who lost everything in a foreign land. She now becomes a fulfilled grandmother. God had chosen the Jews to bring forth the Messiah, that is the Christ, into the world. Placing Ruth, a Moabite woman, in that Messianic line emphasizes the fact that Jesus came to redeem everyone, Jewish or Gentile. So in spite of Ruth's lineage, she embraced the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and God included her in the lineage of the coming Messiah. Ruth the Moabite does indeed belong in the lineage of the Messiah. Her place there is perfect. She was a woman of great and humble faith, whom God still uses to show us that by grace are you saved through faith. Lesson summary. When we align with the grace of God, He brings to fulfillment His purpose for our lives, regardless of whatever our past may have been. May His purpose in us be fulfilled in Jesus' name. So here we come to the end of lesson 8. We'll begin lesson 9 next week by God's grace. Hope to have you around then. Have a great week. God bless you.